Hello everyone, this is Salar and you are watching Smart Code. This is the second part of float-based layout series, and in this part you will learn how to create two-column float layout, right? A two-column layout looks like as you see on the screen, and using float you can achieve this result very easily and fast. So in two-column float layout, we actually float one element either to the left or to the right. For example, the light blue column that you see on the screen is only floated to the left, and the HTML element that is below the floated element in the HTML file automatically moves up and takes the available space as well as surrounds the floated element. And then they put some margin between the elements, and as a result you get an illusion of a second column. For example, the light green column that you see on the screen. This column is not floated. It moves automatically upward and surrounds the floated element. And we finally put some margin between the elements to get a look of side-by-side columns. This may sound difficult, but I promise it's very easy to perform, and you will see in a couple of minutes. So let's jump into the code and do it practically. Now in the HTML, you see an aside tag and a main tag, right? And both the tag contain only text. So we will float this aside tag to the left and it will become a column or a sidebar. Okay. Now before we go further and apply float to the aside tag, there are some important points that you need to remember. Point number one is the element that you want to float must be inside any semantic tag. Like here, I'm using aside tag. You can even use div if you want. Point number two is the element you want to float must appear before the other element that wraps around the floated element. Like here, say, a side tag is placed before the main tag. It's important to have your HTML in this order as far as you are creating two-column layout. However, this order is not necessarily important if you have a layout consisting of more than two columns. And we will investigate this in the third part of this series. And the point number three is you will set a width for the floated column or a sidebar. So let's program this two-column layout step by step. In the CSS file, I have some necessary CS at the top that you can see. And now I'm going to target the aside and the main tag. I will give them different background colors so that we can easily differentiate between them. And this is how it looks in the browser at the moment, right? Now we are going to set a width for the sidebar. Let's say 25% wide of HTML body. And you can now see a small change in the browser. A side tag has a width which is equal to 25% of the total width of the body, right? So the width is defined and it's now time to apply float left to the aside element. Let's now check the result in the browser. So now you can clearly see a side tag has become a proper column to the left, and the main tag that was below the aside tag moves up and surrounds the floated aside tag, right? This surrounding effect is a default behavior of float, and we have already discussed it earlier. Now the thing is, we don't need this surrounding effect. We actually need two separate columns. So in order to remove this surrounding effect, we will apply left margin to the main tag. So let's do that. Notice one thing here, the margin is greater than the width of the side tag, and it's a good idea to have margin a little bigger than the width of the side column because it creates some empty space between the tags, right? Let's now refresh the page and check the final result. And there you see the layout. That's amazing, right? Now our page has a look of two side-by-side columns. So now you have experience and learned creating two column-based float layout is not so difficult. You just need to consider some point which I told you earlier. So this is the end of the second part. And in the third part, you will learn how to create three-column float layout. Stay tuned and thanks for watching.